This is the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
America's falling, they all say. Gather the faithful now and pray. The Patriots Prayer. The Patriots Prayer. All the wicks are trimmed, oil is filled to the brim. I have changed somehow. I'm the radical now. America's falling, they all say. Gather the faithful now and pray. The Patriots pray.
Good morning, or good evening, rather, guys. I don't know what the hell I'm at, but yeah, good evening, guys. Patriots, we have a special guest. I am your co-host, Eddie, and of course, my other co-host here, Native Patriot, also known as Maurice around these parts. We got a special guest with us today, Patriot Barbie, Lindsey Graham. Not that Lindsey Graham, right? I'm sure you get that all the time. Not that Lindsey Graham.
All the time.
You know,
I'm
you're
lucky
not
that
the-
I'm known as the good one, though. I really am.
Well, you're not the warmonger who wants to start a world war with Russia just because that sort of thing. So
True.
You're redeeming the name.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
My goal is someday when you Google Lindsey Graham, I will pop up first and not him. That's the goal. Especially if you Google
That's a good goal.
Lindsey Graham conservative, Lindsey Graham Republican.
yeah, right. Yeah, I did like kind of a bio on you a little bit, just kind of trying to beef up on all things Lindsey Graham. I got it from Grok, and Grok first said, gave me the whole Lindsey Graham get down. I was like, not that one, this one, and I got the whole deal. So you're an author, mom, activist, and you used to play on Dukes of Hazzard, right? So
Allegedly. That's the rumor. Two true. Are we playing two truths and a lie? Is that what we're playing here?
Two truths and a lie? Wow. I haven't played that in a while.
I feel like there needs to be. Yeah, I feel like you need to Google the chick on Dukes of Hazzard now and like put it up. I don't know.
Easy enough. Daisy Duke.
Daisy Duke.
I think
The OG, not the
OG,
Jessica
yeah.
Simpson.
Oh
Yeah, no.
Lord, no, yeah, not even close.
not the one who didn't know that chicken of the sea was actually fish. Remember that scene? She's like, is it chicken or is it fish?
Oh, poor thing.
Yikes.
So some of these pictures are a little too flattering.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and I don't wear those shorts. I'll tell you that much. What, Maurice? Tell me.
I wear those shorts.
Maybe he's
Native
close.
Americans can get away with wearing anything.
Yeah, I always tell anybody who comments on it, because I put it up on Twitter all the time. I always just basically say that it's better than a loincloth. So
That's true.
right, it covers more than a loincloth does. So
So here is Daisy Duke, and I'm going to compare for everyone to see. There's Daisy Duke.
I'm nervous.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Daisy
Okay.
Duke,
All right.
Daisy Duke.
See, I like that old classic.
And then you right here. You don't look much different in that picture from Daisy Duke, even right now.
I'm
No.
honored.
I would be flattered. I personally would be flattered. Look at my email list, everybody.
Oh my gosh. So much private stuff is happening right now. So much private stuff.
Nothing
Live.
I care about. If you want to answer my emails, feel free.
Yes.
So
see, and then this is my regular attire right here. Hey, you kicking it off the screen?
You're still there.
So
Hold on. I got it right here. Bang.
Oh,
See, that's-
those are Daisy Dukes.
he's
Pretty close.
He's got the
Oh,
Daisy
that's
Tontos. The Daisy
that's
Tonto.
So good. So good.
The Daisy Tontos.
A couple
So-
summers ago, it was pretty hot, and so I just cut up an old pair of jeans and yeah. Now
I like that look where you're wearing the American flag spandex underneath. I think I'm gonna have to take that from you, I think.
yeah, I wear that almost every weekend when it's sunny out, and I mean to this day still. And my wife just kind of got used to it. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh well, it
Pretty
grew
good.
on her."
I could never.
There's like a theme song every time he walks out.
I could never. So listen, there's a lot of news that has occurred in the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We don't know where to start. I mean, here's the newest thing, right? So we're not beating a dead horse. We've talked about the attempted assassination almost every single day. It is still the biggest and most valid piece of news out there because we're being lied to. Anyone who's seen Cheadle testify today, she said more on YouTube than she did to those people in that in that testimony that she gave today. And there were some pretty basic black and white questions that were asked to her that she absolutely sidestepped and gave all these other weird answers to. It was really disheartening to see this. But what was crazy about the whole thing, what really blew my mind, right? Where I work, I share an office with a very liberal man. He's a nice old guy, but he's extremely liberal.
I feel like those two don't go hand in hand.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of wild, but this is also wild. James Comer co-authored a piece of legislation. I would say legislation, but at least they got together in an effort, put their names on the same piece of paper to make this lady quit or fire her. And Jamie Raskin and James Comer on the same paper pushing for the same thing along with AOC wanting to get rid of the entire ticket, Kamala and Joe. Saying
interesting.
Right loud. I mean, it's really like, I don't know if like the CERN thing was turned on. The fabric of space-time has been ripped. We're in a different universe where Mark Zuckerberg is saying nice things about Trump and AOC saying stuff like this.
And I'm going to say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just going to say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Kamala, Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations. A lot of them are not just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
What do you think of that?
Juicy. Or is the whole world a stage? Don't you feel like sometimes we're watching when you watch this, you're watching the interview behind a reality show, how they're like, oh, this is my script. This is my character is AOC. I used to be a bartender and blah, blah, blah. And I'm dumb. But then every now and then I pull something out of my hat. I feel like they're all players playing a game. And now cue AOC to say, just so you know, we're not all on board with this. It's very interesting. It's like, I remember J6 where everyone was like, but this and this, guys, just wait, but this and this, but this and this. And I remember being that person too, like, oh, the story's not over. Like there's more to it. And there never was, or maybe there was, but we don't know. And I'm like, here we go again with like the
problem is that even when there was more information that came out, nothing was done. It sure feels like you can reveal as much information as you'd like, but nothing seems to get accomplished. And I mean, if you look at this failed assassination attempt that they just had, and listening to the Secret Service director speak today, it was incredibly difficult to take anybody in Congress seriously. I mean, they got some good licks in as far as you could, I mean, as far as them owning the service, the Secret Service director. But the problem with that is that why isn't she? I mean, me personally, I would think that she needs to be in a holding cell, and every bit of her life needs to be investigated. That seems like the clearest option to me, because everything that they pointed out today points to
Scandal.
the Secret Service allowing this to happen. Exactly.
Of course it is.
Scandal.
I learned another piece of information today that I didn't realize before. I guess when the guy was on the roof, when he climbed up to the roof, when he climbed on the roof, when he walked, it was a tin roof. Only a tin roof. So that means when he walked on that roof, there were Secret Service agents in the building, like hearing the walking on the roof.
That's
right?
insane.
So all they had to do was shoot through the damn roof, and this whole thing would have been over.
Oh my God.
The cop should have been, the cop kind of confronted him, called it in to the Secret Service. Hey, we seen this guy on the roof with a gun. Secret Service is inside the building. Oh yeah, well, I got him. Boom, over. No, that didn't happen. No, there's nothing. There's no story out. This is the only time where somebody's being blamed for something that we all believe they're culpable for, both the left and the right in this instance, which is unbelievable. Believe that she's culpable and at fault. And it's kind of scary to me that the left is joined in with this in chorus with us, because it kind of makes you feel like, you know, I just did what you guys were telling me to. Why are you guys all jumping on me? That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like, right? We don't know yet. I'm not, but kind of feel that way.
I also feel like they're doing their Hail Mary. They're like trying to save face, because they all think that we forget everything they've said for 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever. Now they're all coming to the slow and subtle. It started with The Rock being like, I wish I would have never endorsed Joe Biden. It's like, whoa, hold on. We are like so far into his screw ups. You're just now turning a corner. And now it seems very interesting that they're all like, well, Trump wasn't that bad and all this stuff. And it seems like, how interesting your timing. It seems like you're just trying to save face, because you're about to realize he is going to be the next president, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of history. It's a little late for that.
I think one of the scary things is that how much power the media still has. Mm-hmm. It seems like in all of my circles, nobody takes the media seriously. And I'm not exactly sure who does. But the really odd thing is that just a couple of weeks ago,
people who wear masks.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But just a couple of weeks ago is when the media turned on Biden, and they started saying all the things that we've been saying for years. But now Biden was removed basically from the next presidential race. And so I don't know if I attribute it directly to the media, but they still have a lot of power. And it's kind of interesting to see how rapidly everything changed once the media got on board. Or rather, once whoever gave the media the go-ahead to start saying that, they prepped in and moved it quickly. So it's almost like the media, I mean, they kind of tell you what they're able to do, because for years they had Biden, the way that they covered Biden was hiding all of his faults and correcting his where he would screw up in his speeches. But now all of a sudden they turned on him, and a month later, boom, he's gone. He got COVID supposedly, and nobody's seen him since last Wednesday. So
nobody's seen him since last Wednesday. The signatures didn't match up. Their signatures on the paper didn't match at all, like zero match. James Biden came out and said, with whatever time he has left, but in such an ominous way, you're like, what do you mean by that? Like, that was pretty ominous. And this would go right along with this other thing that I already think that Maurice knows about. I listen to a guy. You know who Kim Clement is? You're a Christian lady, okay? Kim Clement is he's a prophet. Passed away some time ago, but he's known for making wild predictions, and they all came true. Donald Trump, all the way back in 2008 or something, he said Donald Trump was going to be president. It's wild the things that he said before they were ever, and he said that Biden would not live throughout his first term. Now keep in mind, Kim Clement died about 5 years ago, something like that, 6 years ago. So for him to even say that Biden would get elected and then not finish his term, I mean, this is all wild stuff.
Interesting.
And this happened, and he was supposed to go to the hospital here in Vegas where I'm at. They had a place for him. They were going to take him there. And then all of a sudden he was redirected back to Air Force One, where they flew him to a military hospital. And then Kamala has this news conference, right? And then she's playing his voice over what appears to be a recorder, because he's so alive in that thing. I mean, he's not sick. His voice is clear as a bell, and it's very.
Something's weird. Something's weird.
I had a lot of people say that was an actual cheap fake, because there's no reason why they couldn't do video.
Right. Yeah.
The fact that they just did audio in today's day and age is very, very sus, because AI voiceover has gotten really good. And so there's no way to really distinguish.
I can create, matter of fact, by Wednesday, I'm going to create a Joe Biden thing. You can hear him.
Like
Joe Biden will announce the show on Wednesday. If people want to know how easy it is to do, it's extremely easy to do.
Yeah, and it's almost like throughout this whole presidency, they've done things that just seem so obvious, like they're specifically playing us. Like they know that we know that can't possibly be true, that we understand they're gaslighting us. This just seems like another situation where they're like just taunting us. They're going to know that this is fake. Of course this is fake. Why wouldn't we zoom him in or something? Just purposely poking at us, knowing that we're going to know that they're messing with us.
Yeah.
The question is why? Are they
well,
trying
this is
to
not
actually...
the first time. It's not the first time in history this has happened. I forget the president. Was it Roosevelt, whose wife basically ran the country for like 6 months? He was in a wheelchair in a coma, and no one even knew it.
My word.
So this is
terrifying.
not unprecedented. It's happened before.
Scary.
It is a little scary, but the cool thing is it can't be too scary, because I don't think any of us actually believe Joe is making the daily decisions anyway.
Correct.
Right? So it's probably been Kamala this whole time, which is probably why things are still so screwed up, and who knows? I mean,
it's business as usual. It is. You hit the nail on the head right there, Eddie, because there's no way that Biden has been making conscious decisions for the past 3 years. There's just no way. I mean, you could see back in 2020 his steep mental decline, but as the years have gone on, there is an obvious, and they have done their best to hide it. But if anybody is paying attention or looking for any kind of mental decline, you can obviously see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very funny.
So whoever's been running the country for the last 4 years is doing it right now. So nothing has changed, except for the fact that the media turned on Biden. That's the main difference there. I don't know how they expect for Kamala to be popular at all. I mean, she got destroyed back in 2020. She was one of the most unpopular people in the entire race. She was terrible. Nobody liked her. Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her on stage.
She did one thing for me that is absolutely unforgivable, and you damn sure should never run a quickie mark behind what she did. She had evidence that would have exonerated an innocent man who ended up spending 20 years of his life in prison. And that man didn't get out of prison until she advocated that office to go to be VP. And in my world, if you put somebody, you knowingly take someone's freedom and you sit on the evidence that would exonerate him, you should change places with him.
Right.
You should go and do the time he just did. You had taken 20 years of his life. Why
Yeah.
is she protected? Why doesn't this man sue her? I want to find the man's name out and I want to contact the man. You know what? That's what I'm
I'm writing that down right now. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, that's not actually a bad idea to reach out to him and see if we can get him on and actually
I will-
explain firsthand.
Oh, I'll fit the bill. If he needs a lawyer, I'll fit the bill. I will pay for him to file the suitcase.
I am personally very happy that she's quote endorsed, because I think that just, of all the things that have solidified a win for Trump, I think this would be the nail in the coffin.
Oh yeah.
For nomination.
Don't get me wrong. I was happy to hear that she was the one they were all backing, because Kakula she cannot win. There is she is the only vice president in history. She was a worse vice president than Joe when he was vice president. And he was basically buying off leaders and selling himself, grifter that he was. But this lady was in charge of two things: taking our guns away. One, thank God she failed at that. And the border. And she never even went there. The only other thing that she did that's memorable to me is what, after the Nashville shooting took place and those 6 innocent folks at that Christian school lost their lives to that trans terrorist, that girl went over there and needlessly shot, carelessly, heartlessly took the lives of 6 innocent people, 3 kids, 3 adults. She went to Nashville because after that happened, Jordan Pearson, not Peterson, everybody, Pearson, and 2 others, and I don't remember their names, in the Tennessee legislature, basically barged into chambers with megaphones instead of sitting behind their appointed desks as elected leaders, and brought protesters into chambers to start protesting for gun control. And as a result, the people in chambers all voted to expel all 3 of them. They became known as the Tennessee 3. Her answer to this was to go down there and give this big race baiting speech about why the fact that the only reason they were expelled was due to the fact that they were black. Now we did it. We did a deep dive on this, and we played the speech. We went over it. Listen, the guy spoke like you or me or anyone else. His elocution was perfect. But all of a sudden, in like his 20s, when he started running for office and his hairstyle changed, the way he spoke, all of a sudden he became Jesse Jackson, had a baby with Martin Luther King. And he's just talking like this, and very unprofessional, unbecoming, just like he's going to be the next civil rights leader it's just ridiculous that he was the one playing it up, because he wasn't even being himself. And I wish, in retrospect, that the Republican man who put forth the vote to expel him ended up actually abdicating his seat as behind it. And I really wish he wouldn't. I really wish that he wouldn't have done that. And because the left does everything and they will not resign no matter what. Look at this Jill's friend, Cheadle, at the Secret Service, because that's Jill's friend. That's why she has that job. She has the Jill's friend job. And
President Biden is in charge of appointing the head of the Secret Service, or the director of the Secret Service. And obviously it wasn't Joe Biden who chose her. It was Jill Biden.
Jill Biden. Yep. It was Joe Biden, who also took the detail that should have been on top of that roof as well for her own. That was the way it came out. It was the Secret Service, I guess, needed some of the manpower that would have been attributed to that Trump rally, and they diverted.
They pulled the Secret Service last minute to fulfill Jill Biden's request. That was their big statement.
Yep.
One of your commenters wrote, when you guys said we still haven't seen the manifesto, he wrote Tranifesto.
Tranifesto.
Well, I mean, that's Woody.
Yeah, it's Woody.
Yeah. He's not wrong either. It's something that
and here's the
obviously
crazy part.
have a
When
right
we
to
did get
see.
to 3 pages. We got 3 pages of it. Thank you, Steven Crowder. Shout out Steven Crowder. Got 3 pages of it, and then YouTube kicked him off for showing it.
Wow.
because it was exactly what we thought it was: anti-white, anti-Christian, all the things we thought it was. But that doesn't fit their narrative.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit their narrative, because if it came out that we were actually being targeted as white male Christians, they may have to
stop. They'd have to stop slandering you. They'd have to stop terrorizing white males.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Which is their only way to win this election, is to drum up as much white guilt as possible, because believe it or not, the largest voting bloc in this country is still white people, and if they can drum up enough support for that white guilt, then they get enough supporters on their side. And so many people bending over backwards. But I feel like there's a lot of people of color from all around the country finally realizing, like, wait a minute, these Democrats aren't actually helping me.
No, not at all. If you get rid of white people, you know, there's going to be no mayonnaise in the store at all. I mean, no mayonnaise. I just don't understand half of the rhetoric that the left, you know, tries to drum up and point in a specific direction, like saying that white supremacy is the biggest threat. Obviously, it's not true. It's not true. We don't see any instances of white supremacy. My buddy Kyle Seraphin I had on, we've spoken multiple times before too, is what he said, and he said openly, everyone heard the interview, not just the one with me, but the one he did with Bongino, where he said they were basically told to connect the dots even where there were none. So they would go into people that the FBI had arrested for whatever reason, and they would try to connect them in some way, shape, or form to some white subversive group or whatever, and then change the narrative of the story of why they did what they did.
Of course.
Yeah, this is right around the time the FBI was, you know, planning to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer.
Yes, of course.
I like how you just definitively, like, I mean, that's the way it was, really. I think half of them were FBI agents, and that directly incited a lot of what was actually happening, taking advantage of, I mean, this is a classic playbook that they generally use to demonize whatever narrative they want to pump out in the future. They have to have a plot of some kind orchestrated in order to point at that. I mean, at one point it was Gretchen Whitmer, and then it was January 6th. And I mean, this latest incident sure doesn't seem like it was, or at least executed to perfection, because it sure seems like they legitimately missed and everything screwed up. And it seems like right now the Secret Service and all of the people in this investigation are in a just panic and scramble to get details out to cover their tracks, because since Trump is still around, still kicking, it doesn't have to be classified as national security and be hidden for the next 50 years, 60 years, however long it takes.
Someone was saying today too, like, imagine if they had been successful and we are at where we're at, where Joe Biden is magically probably dead, right? They took him out. They had every intention of removing him from his power as president. But the goal was that Trump would be dead while this simultaneously happened, that there would be zero presidential election, I think is what they were probably aiming for, was a complete...
I never heard this theory. That's a good theory, though.
Right? I mean, if Trump had been shot, think about right now, if Trump had been shot successfully and dead, and now this is happening with Biden, we would have no one really in any kind of power advocating for this country.
No,
oh my gosh, it would have been Nikki Haley and Kamala Harris.
Nikki Haley and Kamala Harris. Yep.
Who would have seen their way in?
You know, I'll say this for her. When she came to the RNC and she gave her speech, when I first saw her, I was like, oh, get off the stage, lady. Go somewhere. And then she, you could tell she did it reluctantly. You know how someone is like, she was up there. She looked like how if you have two kids and one hits the other or whatever, you go say you're sorry. Sorry. You know how they come up and I don't want to say this, but mom's telling me to.
Yeah.
That's how she gave that speech. That's how that speech started with her. And she gave the air. That was the exact air she gave when she walked up there. But as she started going, and then as she started seeing that the people that were listening to her were vibing with what she was saying. You saw her attitude slowly morph into, they like me. But no, we just like what you were saying. That was all that was going on. Nobody likes you. Nobody.
If you're listening out there, no one likes you.
Nobody. Nobody. We'll take Christy Noam over you every day of the week.
That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Tulsi, I'm still waiting to have a conversation with. I've not made my mind up. We have a mutual friend that's friends with her, and he said he was going to line that up, and then never happened. But we had an opportunity.
Working on it.
We thought we had an opportunity in Detroit when we were down there to speak to her, but it never came to fruition. We thought we had an opportunity to speak to Trump too, which never exactly came to fruition. Somebody, and you guys probably didn't hear a whole lot of this. They didn't make a big deal out of it at the time, but somebody snuck a weapon inside of the rally when we were there at the People's Convention, and they locked it down to where we couldn't get in and no one could get out. And then when we finally got in, we couldn't get near in the VIP section where we were supposed to be. It just became a whole thing, right? We couldn't even sit in the VIP section with VIP tickets.
Wow.
This fool climbed on a whole roof, walked over, got a boost. The Secret Service agent gave him a boost to help him get up there because he was too short. So they boosted him, and he got up there.
He's like, I forgot my ammunition too. And he's like, I got you. Hold on. Here you go.
Throw it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, my scope broke. Oh, hold on. Let me take this off.
Did he do it with iron sights? Did that ever come out? Did we ever get an opportunity to see the weapon?
We haven't really, not really. From the pictures, it doesn't look like he has a scope. So it looks like it's a red dot, but no magnification at all. So at 150 yards with no magnification, that is a difficult shot.
That's a pretty good shot. That's a pretty good shot right there. Wow. 400 and some odd feet away.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good shot that he missed.
I had somebody in the chat earlier when I was streaming the Secret Service testimony, Cheadle's testimony. I had somebody in. You can go back and look at the chat on YouTube, and there was somebody in there saying that that this was a Q thing, that Q caused this. QAnon. I'm not making this up. They literally are talking about QAnon. The other day, I had some old crazy lady in here. Remember the grandma who was all magged out, got in trouble in J6, came out touting Joe Biden? Remember her? Well, she was on here like this. So I brought her up here. I said, if you can defend your points, just come up. I'll bring you on. I sent her the link. She came on. It was classic. I loved every bit of it because she showed everybody exactly why they're wrong. She said that, who was it? Ivan Raiklin and General Flynn were the ones who attempted to assassinate Trump, but called everything else we were saying propaganda. Yeah, these people are
people that call people you conspiracy theorists, but they have their own conspiracy theories, but yours are crazy.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we're propaganda artists, but it's amazing.
Well, Eddie, we should take a break really quick, but when we come back, I would like to let everybody know, or at least you tell your story, rather, because I'd reached out to Lindsey a little while back, and I'd seen her standing up, but we'll get back to it after the break.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Do you promise? I'm just stalling because I'm looking for the commercial.
Oh.
I already thought we were offline, and I was like, I'm getting ready to pick my nose.
Here we go.
Have you noticed the ever-alarming 400,000 cell towers that have gone up in the United States alone? How about the electronics that reside in every room of our homes and Wi-Fi that runs 24/7? 5G cell phones are carried in our pockets hours on end. Common complaints are ringing in the ear: sleep deprivation, palpitations, headaches, memory loss, and so much more. Redemption Shield is on the cutting edge of.
Well, I guess we lost it. I don't know what happened there, but
Oh,
so we're
interesting.
Back. We're back. So
go to thepatriotsprayer.com. You get a list of all of our sponsors. If you were interested in that Redemption Shield, it is listed there. We also have Smoking Gun Coffee, Eco Washer. All of the sponsors are listed there. If you just go to thepatriotsprayer.com, everything's listed. You can see all of our hosts and use the discount codes. So that'd be the easiest way to go. So I don't know what happened with that video, because that was half as long as it's supposed to be.
Yeah, half as long as it's supposed to be. It just died for some reason in the middle. We have problems with StreamYard every now and again. I have to give them kudos. It's a great software. It works. I don't have too much problem with it, but every now and again we have a little issue like that. But yes, let's hear more about you, Lindsey. You're an author. Tell us about your book. Tell us about your journey with that.
Well, so I got my patriotic political movement in 2020. I was not political prior to 2020. I was the people that we now despise, who are paying no attention, have no idea what's going on, blissfully ignorant. Well, blissfully ignorant. That was me. And then in 2020, I had 6 businesses in Oregon. And when the government lockdowns came, first instinct, for no reason whatsoever, was like, I don't know about this. This doesn't really mesh well with me. This doesn't make sense. But whatever. I have a new baby. I'll take the maternity leave. 2 weeks. Remember, 2 weeks to flatten the curve turned into 2 more, and then 2 more. And I started going, all right, I'm calling BS. I don't believe any of this crap. I have 6 businesses, and we're about $100,000 in debt. But Walmart can be open, and drug stores can be open, and abortion clinics can be open. So I said, whatever, dude. I think that there's something in our Constitution about, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think I have a right to work for my money. So I'm going to open my salon, and I'm going to go back to work. And the way that it happened, I had posted in a Facebook page, and it went public. So woke up the next day, announced this on May 2nd, woke up May 3rd to like all of the news wanting a comment about me reopening. And I was like, what do you mean? Why am I reopening? Like, this is so dumb. Everyone knows why I'm reopening. You can't survive if you don't work.
It was one of the first things that, you explained there that not only didn't you not believe what they were saying, but also in the fact that you felt like you didn't have to listen to their authority. I think that's one of the big things the big hurdles that people had a real hard time overcoming. And so this was actually a courageous step. And I can see why there were so many news outlets wanting to reach out to you, because you were an anomaly back then. I mean, there were so many people who just caved in, and then continued to cave in week after week after week, even though they said 2 more weeks, another week, 2 more weeks, 10 more days, 14 more days to slow the spread. And they kept saying that over and over again. So kudos to you for that initial step even. Thank you. Yeah, it's hard to believe, because I was the same person too, right? I was letting them say 2 weeks and 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, it's official. The first time you said 2 weeks to flatten the curve, the day after that 2 weeks, you guys became liars. You lied to us, because I knew from the very beginning, you cannot control a virus. That's like saying I'm going to control the air in this room, where it flows. It's impossible. And to trace it. And it just was like, the BS was getting more and more obvious. And I was probably like the third business owner in America to reopen. So it was very, very big deal that I was reopening. And I did not expect that when I did it. I just really thought everyone's going to understand why. And if the news wants a comment, I guess you need to hear that like business owners aren't getting PPP. We're not getting unemployment. Like, this doesn't work for us. So what really made the story so big was beyond I'm opening up against the mandates and no one else is, because remember, people weren't afraid of COVID. They were actually afraid of the government. They were more afraid of the tyranny. Yeah. And that is exactly what happened. I mean, the millions of people just like you were deemed non-essential by the government, because I mean, you were wanting to reopen your business while a ton of other businesses, including almost every large corporation, were still open. So you just wanted equal treatment. You're like, hey, I'm essential as well. I actually have a business that pays for everything in my life. My life is essential, and I'm going to fight for it. Not only that, I have a license that the state of Oregon gave me that said I follow protocol and I keep a clean salon. Like, you guys authorized that I'm a good person to open this business. So yeah,
it was radical enough that I reopened, especially not being political, because I didn't realize that there would be a divide here at all. But what made it more radical, of course, was people having to watch. Now, I was a mom of 3. I had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a newborn, 6 weeks old. My baby was 6 weeks old. And what
Congratulations.
Thank you. What the government did to me in that time period shocked people, because they said they were going to take my business license, put me in jail, Class C misdemeanor, take away my hair license, kick me out of my building. And then Child Protective Services came the day after I opened and threatened to take my kids away. And people went nuts. It was like, this is it. This is how you know that something is very, very wrong, that there's another agenda, because no one at Walmart is getting their kids threatened and they're open, but because government says they can't be. But I say, okay, well, if it's safe enough for them to be open, I think it's safe enough for me to be open. But now you're going to take my children away for working. And that's when the story went crazy. The story went crazy. It was like every news outlet had my face. Every conservative podcaster was calling, and I didn't know who they were. Glenn Beck wants to have you on. I'm like, Glenn Beck. And my dad's like, Glenn Beck? I'm like, I don't know who that is. David Harris Jr. And I'm like, I don't know who that is either. Megyn Kelly. And it was like, what is going on? So I was like, hold on. So just to confirm, like, conservatives think that this is right, that I'm a hero for doing hair, and leftists, liberals, literally think I should get COVID and die, like death threats. And
are demanding your business to shut down, go bankrupt, for you to lose your house, and for every strict rule that the government decided to impose by whim, because they decided you weren't essential, that all of that punishment, that book should be thrown at you. That's what they were advocating for. People really forget how tyrannic, how petty it really was, with the way that they had aisles marked, that you had to go back and, I mean, you didn't have to. I never did. But yes, it was very tyrannical and very, very petty. And everybody advocating on the left was advocating for the book to be thrown at anybody who stepped out of line.
Yep. They made, so that's actually how I got the name Patriot Barbie. I mean, they made memes out of my face. They called me the COVID killer. They called me, all kinds of things. There was all kinds of things being said. But one of them was a meme calling me the Patriot Barbie as a insult. And I was like, okay, all right, you guys you're actually dumb, because that's a compliment. But I'm going to go ahead and take that name. But yeah, it was very eye-opening. I mean, that was my big, like, holy crap. I did not realize there would be a political party division between me needing to provide for my kids. This is crazy. And I was raised a conservative, but I had fallen far, far, far from politics. Like, I voted for Obama in 2008. I voted for Trump, but only because he was a good businessman. Like, I didn't care. And this to me was like, oh, wow. Okay, I'm with those people. The one that, like, think it's totally okay that I earn a living and fight for my freedoms. So
that makes total sense, because, I mean, it also probably didn't help because there was a lot of racial division back then as well. That you know, being white, it probably had a lot of ire directed at you, just because if your business was allowed to run, I'm sure at the time the government felt extra pressure, like, well, this could come across as white privilege if we did allow this. So they were extra hard, like, nope, we're going to dole out the punishment, you know, just like we would a black person. Is what they would, you know. So
God forbid you let this is, I hate to say it, this is their words, not mine. The rich white bitch, right? With her $1 million salon, like, she gets to be open. Who does she think she is? And I was like, I just think I'm a working American. This is crazy. But when the George Floyd riots started, Antifa, or someone related to Antifa, had posted online, when you start burning down buildings, go burn down Glamour Salon and kick Lindsey Graham.
Jeez.
And I was like, I just fought the government. Now I got to fight little white liberals. Like, this is crazy. So I did a call to action. 400 people showed up. Patriots showed up outside my salon. Biker gangs, veterans, ex-military,
I don't
And
even say biker gangs because I grew up back
Hardcore.
east, and I lived, when I was younger in a
Mhm.
clubhouse. I know the culture. I know what they're like. I know where they come from, what their mentality is, and all the things that we see going on in the world, the Antifas and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, you don't understand. Like, there's a sleeping giant
biker
that-
gangs are going to come for you.
waiting in the wings, just waiting for the time to when it goes down, and they don't get it. All those people that were wishing that the shot wouldn't have missed, they don't understand how that saved their lives. That saved their ass.
Yeah.
That shot missed.
That's
Because
true.
the next day, that day, 10 minutes after it happened, all of them would have been running for the hills. All of
That's
them
right.
would have been, I didn't mean it. I didn't. It was
Yeah, but also you run to the hills, you're getting into my territory, and we're not.
And you've already experienced your own sort of tyranny, so you guys are waiting for you're waiting for your moment.
Yep.
I got my RV. She done told me, who was it? Maxine Waters said that we were going into the hills to train to overthrow democracy. And I do believe that they continue to use that term democracy because I'll
Intentionally.
say it again. Yeah. I personally, right, am an enemy of democracy. Literally. I'm not making a joke. I'm not none of that. I am an enemy of democracy, which means I'm an enemy of mob rules. I believe in our Constitution. I do not believe in mob rule. The left wants to get the popularity vote. That way they can convince with mass hysteria half of or more of the country to believe a certain way and overthrow the Constitution. Because when democracy is in full effect, you can throw our Constitution in the trash.
That's right. Yep. I agree. So yeah, that's how I got fully canceled, was not wanting my salon burned down. I got called a white supremacist, white nationalist, put on a do not support list, more death threats, people calling my salon filled with hate, targeting all my stylists. So ultimately we ended up losing our 6 businesses in Oregon. Yep. I had to close my salon, sell the other businesses, and we moved to Arizona for freedom. I felt called by God to write my book, Targeted, which ended up being, I thought it was going to be, a book about fighting the government, which I thought would be very boring. So I'm like, okay, that was a tiny portion of my life, but it ended up being my full testimony, how God has prepared me to embark on this fight, this journey in such a time as this. So it's been like a complete life rewriting, completely different life. And the best thing that's ever happened to me.
You found your mission. You found your calling. Well,
I did.
There was a call and you answered it. I think that's one of the most important things that people need to understand is that you can miss that moment in your life. You can not answer the call. You could have continued to lock down and to have been just another person who lost their business because of the government lockdowns and not said a peep. But you decided that to answer that call and to go on this journey. And whether or not, the consequences of you doing this is significantly better than what would have happened if you would have just sat idly by. So
Yes,
I give you
absolutely.
props.
Yeah.
I heard your story and I was like, I have to talk to her, and I have to, I have to help people understand that even, a woman in your position who had a ton to lose. That was a big argument back then about people saying that they didn't want to lose their business, or they didn't, they don't want to put their family in jeopardy. And it's like, sometimes it's better when you put your foot down for the right reasons.
Yeah.
It is more powerful. It is more inspiring, and you're on the right side of history, which actually makes a difference and which will change the future of our country. So I hope you inspired many, many people. I hope a ton of people buy your book and read it and understand exactly what it is and what it takes and what you had at stake in order to make these decisions. And it seems like you were pushed in a way because you had all that stuff that you could lose, and you were willing to put that on the line to do the right thing. So I think it was incredible. So I had to reach out to you. I love talking to you. You sound like you got a really good head on your shoulders, and your journey, it sounds like, is just starting.
It is, yes. Thank you. Yep.
Here's the other thing, right? So you did all this. You had the comfortable life. You had the businesses. Obviously, it's hard to start a business, and you put a lot of effort into growing it, picking whatever, location and hiring people or running. There's a lot into it. So to have everything that you work so hard for, taken the way that it was, at first it can seem devastating, but am I to assume that it was actually freeing? Eventually, you felt like, okay, God, what are you trying to do with me here? Where should I go?
Yep.
And now leaving all of that behind and having lost that, closed those businesses, whatever, and you're in the position you're at now. Let me ask you, are you happier, freer now than you were then? Are you glad after all this happened that it happened the way it did?
Yeah, I wouldn't take anything back. I tell people all the time, if you're afraid of losing something, you're afraid of the wrong thing. I honestly believe that my testimony is very, very big. And I was doing hair, not giving women my testimony, not testifying, not witnessing to people. I believe that God swooped in and said, I have something bigger for you, but I'm going to have to take everything away from you in order for you to accept it. And I'm honored that he is a gracious enough God to do that, because I would not have walked away from it. And I kept trying to hold on for dear life to my life in Oregon. And he took it all away to the point where it was unsalvageable. And by the time I recognized that, I said, okay, the way that I was raised is that there is a God. He loves me and he has the best for me. And right now, I literally have nothing. Like, everything has been taken from me. We had to sell our new home that we built, all of our businesses. We had no jobs. Moving to Arizona, we had nothing lined up, like literal faith in the Lord. And I just was like, I trust you, Lord. I just trust that if you are going to do this to me, if you're going to allow me to lose everything, that you must have something bigger. And he did. My life now, I would never go back to my life as a hairstylist and a business owner in Oregon. Never. Everything I'm doing now has more purpose. It has more meaning. It's more fulfilling. I understand that God had a plan for me that I love more than I loved the plan for myself. So for anyone that's afraid of losing something for fear of speaking out, you're actually just robbing yourself, because God does have something bigger and better. You don't even know what it is, and you actually can't even fathom what it is. Yeah. But I'm telling you, if you are silent, you are costing yourself your own beautiful plan that God has designed for you.
Robbing your own blessings.
Yep.
For not trusting God. It's hard, because you will fight against him and try to go our own way. I mean, that's the story Jonah is about, exactly that. He was trying to go his own way. And it's happened to me as well. I've had to rebuild my life no less than 3 times. And every single time, I can attribute it to doing or pushing myself in a direction that I probably shouldn't have been going. And I was very comfortable doing it. And each time God chastised me for it. And when it all came full circle, I was glad that it happened, because I was better off than I was before. And I'm very comfortable with that. So I'm glad to hear, like, those stories are so reaffirming, because, God is real, right? It's not an idea that, the Bible is not full of allegories there. It's full of history. And, it's very heartwarming to hear people that have similar life experiences that come out the same way, to know that God works with everyone exactly the same way. Let me ask you now, though, what is daily life for you now? What are you doing now?
So I am an entrepreneur again. That's just sort of been laid back on my heart. I've took like 3 years off, just trying to figure out what God wanted me to do. I've been doing a lot of activism. Wrote Targeted, which is my memoir. I wrote a children's faith-based book in December of last year, so about 7 months ago.
What's that one called?
Alphabet Prayers for Toddlers.
Okay.
It's on, so you can buy both my books on shoppatriotbarbie.com. The children's book is being internationally published soon, so it's not available anywhere except for with me. And started businesses.
What was that link again?
Shoppatriotbarbie.com. And I feel like the Lord has kind of given me permission to be an entrepreneur again, but now I'm not afraid of being canceled. So all of my businesses are very pro-God, pro-life, pro-freedom, pro-Trump, America, a fashion brand that we're like, hey, our logo is an XX chromosome. God created two genders. Men aren't allowed to wear our clothes. Like, hello, welcome. My merch store, my books. I have a payment processing company that specializes in patriotic companies that would otherwise get canceled by Stripe. And then I do the network marketing that's very patriotic based too. So
you have a merchant company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might want to talk to you.
Okay.
Might want to talk to you.
Perfect.
So outside of that, we have this election coming up. We have Joe Biden stepping out of the way. You heard what AOC said, and she can be trusted. You heard what she said. How do you think this ends up? Does it end up with Kamala Harris as the nominee? Because it's something that nobody really envisioned. We figured they were going to get rid of her. We just didn't understand how. But now she is the most unpopular vice president in history, even more so than Gore. How do you think this ends up happening from this point forward? What do you see?
I like to think positive. I know that God's on the throne, but I think that this stuff is so fun. I think that they had to nominate her because in the history of America, has there ever been a VP that isn't nominated if the P steps down? Like, it's kind of like you have to, or you're basically claiming like you weren't qualified to run the country ever if we don't endorse you. But people do not like her. So I don't know if it's going to last or if it's just the greatest blessing ever because now Trump is like guaranteed to win, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, exactly. I believe she was the first DEI hire. She was the first DEI hire of that administration.
Do you think that in order to change the narrative that they would do kind of a similar thing? Now, I don't know if I want to put this out there, but this is just,
I really want to know.
I was just thinking, okay, that they put up Kamala Harris and she's the worst candidate they could possibly think of. And somehow she's now or just about to be the Democratic nominee. Now, I was listening to Alex Jones when they said they're going to try to do this to Biden, but wouldn't it really flip the script if there was another attempt like that, but it was on Kamala this time? So that way it would take everything away from Trump's victory in dodging that attempt, and they would be able to replace Kamala Harris and get their actual candidate in there, which is a really scary thing to say. I pray it doesn't happen. This is not something I want to happen in any way, shape, or form. But this is just something that I've been thinking about in believing that they're in like desperate people do desperate things. Yep. They're in that kind of territory right now. And the only way that I see this flipping is if something drastic like that were to happen. Juicy.
So I'm all here for it. God is on the throne. We're going to heaven. If you've given your life to Jesus Christ, we're all going to heaven. So I'm just going to enjoy the show while we're watching it. So juicy. I hope it doesn't happen either.
This is what Alex Jones had to say about this. And it's pretty wild. And he does stop short of actually saying, in absolutes. But listen.
Of me in the last month say that if they tried to kill Trump, they would also kill Joe Biden because he's been going against the deep state as bad as he is, trying to stay in power and bucking their orders. Now, even Fox News this morning said, we want proof of life. Where's Joe Biden? He hasn't been seen in 5 days since he was in Vegas. And now Charlie Kirk, who has amazing sources inside law enforcement, says law enforcement tells him he had a medical emergency. They asked them on the 17th to block the roads for Biden in Vegas, but he didn't go to the hospital they said he was going to go to, and they put him on a plane and flew him out. to a military hospital on the East Coast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden, after an attempted assassination of Trump and all of this, has now not been seen. Then you get his brother coming out and saying he wants him to enjoy whatever time he has left. You have the signatures that were put out with no government letterhead, no U.S. seal, no presidential seal that do not match at all. If you came in with a bank signature, they checked the signature card, they would decline the check. And you add to all of this the craziness of them trying to install Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton jockeying for positions of power. This is insane. I'm not saying President Biden is dead. I'm asking, is he dead? Is he in a coma? Again, I'm not saying he's dead. I'm asking, is he in a coma like Woodrow Wilson was for 6 months and his wife was really
That's
the
who it was.
president
It was
back-
Woodrow. It was Woodrow Wilson, not what did I say?
That's right.
It was Roosevelt.
FDR.
I knew it was one of them that it happened to, but yeah, I mean, it's terrible. Who knows? And it's very likely that Biden is not in the best shape in the world. If he got COVID, I don't trust this government at all. And that's just how bad it's become because they did this to themselves. They broke the trust between them and the American people. Now we don't believe anything they say.
I know.
Remember,
Yep.
UFOs are not real. We used to say, yes, they are. And now they're like, UFOs are real. And we're like, we don't believe you. UFOs
No,
are
they're
real.
not. Forget it. That was over.
They-
Yep.
They've broken all the trust. You guys, if you can, please share this show with your family or friends. Get the word out. And Lindsey Graham, please tell everybody where to find you, where to buy your book again. Just link all of your socials and what you're doing from here on out. Plug anything you want.
Okay, yay. Don't mind if I do. So you can find me on patriotbarbie.com. My store is shoppatriotbarbie.com. I am mostly active on Instagram, which is the.patriot.barbie.
You got to change that to
Thank you,
X.
guys.
You got to come to X and be here more often. It is a great platform. I mean, I know you're on X,
Love it.
but
Yeah. A little
It's-
here and there, a little here and there.
yeah. I just I believe that without a platform like X, the amount of control that they would have had over the narrative is, I mean, similar to what they did back in 2020 and how difficult it was to reach out beyond your inner circle if you oppose the narrative. Facebook, Meta, Twitter 1.0 back then, they were all in cahoots with the government trying to stop disinformation and misinformation and whatever they deemed not truth. So I'm grateful to X. That's where I mean, I've grown from, nobody to still nobody, but just with a bunch of followers. So, we got
Let me ask you before we get out of here, though, Lindsay, before you go, you have a hell of a platform. Yeah, bigger on some other platforms that we're not. Have you ever thought about doing a podcast?
I used to do a podcast and it was so time consuming and
Because you had to
financially
do-
consuming.
You had to do the editing. You had to do all the all that kind of stuff.
Email your guests or remind them to show up and then email the links and please share it. And here's the graphic and please share that too.
What if all you had to do was show up and do the show and all of that other stuff was all taken care of for you?
Then maybe I would consider it.
You're hired. We will do it. We will set you up with a time slot. We will manage all the rest of it. And all you got to do is show up and do the show. We'll even set you up with guests. We'll do the whole bit for you. So you don't have to worry about the StreamYard accounts and none of that kind of thing. We'll take
and he's
care of it.
he's always in that business mind, which is a
I know.
beautiful thing.
Well, now my wheels are turning. Okay, I'm going to be praying about that.
So
But yes.
the
Yeah.
Patriot Prayer Network is about 9 podcasts right now, soon to be 10. The idea is that we will have a podcast going morning, noon, and night all throughout the day on our Rumble channel all day long, like a TV network,
Mhm.
but everyone with a shared value system. And the idea is to have content pumping out constantly. So we're looking for people, godly folks,
Mhm.
patriotic folks to fill that void. And we'd love to have you on board. And all you got to do is show up. We took care of all the hard part for you.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this. Okay,
You got my phone number.
I will.
Yep.
I'll text you.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
be in touch.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Take it easy.
Thank you for coming on, Lindsay.
Thanks, guys.
So that would be fun, right?
Yeah.
It would be very cool to have Lindsay become part of the Patriot Prayer family. I'm texting with the Cartier family as we speak right now, and setting up them to come on the show. The guys have been everywhere. They just were at the RNC, got sure a million stories to tell. They interviewed Dan Bongino. They interviewed they interviewed everybody, dude. They Charlie Kirk. They sat down with everybody. Riley Gaines. I'm jealous. I'll be extremely honest. I am completely jealous.
Hey, we'll get there, man.
Riley Gaines. I want to interview freaking Dan.
Well, we gotta have a studio, and once we have a studio, that means we'll be able to make enough money in order to bring people out, or at least
here's a little tidbit for you, Maurice. We are considering a move to Texas, a real one.
Oh, how about that?
A very real one that may occur within the next 9 to 10 months, and that's literal. We got our eye on a couple of spots, and we may be able to do it in such a way as we don't end up with any mortgage. So it may be happening. It may be happening. Cool. It would be very, very cool. How do you feel about Texas?
I love Texas. Texas is great. The only thing I don't like is the heat.
But
I
don't like the heat either.
But that seems like almost an inevitability that we'll be heading down there at some point, because I don't see Washington State being the battleground necessary to take back. And I don't know what's going to happen. Let's say best case scenario, Trump gets elected. We're a sanctuary state. We're a sanctuary city. And I can almost guarantee that Bob Ferguson is going to get elected, because we've been universal mail-in ballot since 2011. And
yeah,
there's, unless every single conservative in this state decided to come out and vote, which can happen, but chances are he's going to win, because Republicans in this state haven't won anything.
He's winning
for a long time. So chances are it's going to be Bob Ferguson, who's buddy with Kamala Harris and Alex Soros, the kid. I mean, all those people run in the same circles, right? And I don't see this state prospering anytime soon, and I see it getting a lot worse really quick, especially when the mass deportations start happening and all the illegals come flooding in. That's it's going to be interesting to see.
Here's the thing, right? So from my understanding of the way that he was talking about sanctuary cities, not sanctuary cities, is, first of all, I want to make it very clear to everybody watching, right? We got 6,000 people watching us right now. It's crazy. There is no such thing as a legal sanctuary city. What a sanctuary city is a state or a city, it's usually a state, right, that does not enforce immigration law. So what Trump is going to do is he's going to tie federal funds to whether or not they enforce the law. Okay, if you don't enforce your federal immigration law, guess what? You get no money for schools, you get no money for highways, you get no money for nothing. So what's going to end up happening is there are going to be a few states that still think like this, with very liberal minds. And so what you're going to see is a divide. You're going to see people flock to one state because of the political ideology in that state. The divide is not going to get better. It's going to get worse before it gets better. You're going to start seeing people take sides and line up. Unfortunately, that is the truth. Whether you want to hear it or not, that is the truth. People are going to go where they have like minds and people that they feel got their back. And that means, in this case, they're going to be leaving states. Your governors are going to start to act like presidents of their state, right? This is real stuff, guys. They are going, because what's going to happen when they start removing 30 plus million? I know, Woody, you said 60 million. I get you. I don't know about that number, but I do know 30 million people. Get 30 million people out of our country, we are going to need a military operation taking place in our streets. That means the way we move, the way we go to work, the way we come from work, checkpoints, blah, blah, blah. But yes, like this is the reality. And people,
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be checkpoints right away. It's going to be a progression, because what's going to happen is they're going.
What's up, Salty?
No, I think it'll be a progression, right? Because as these illegal immigrants flee, chances are that is once their funds dry up, they will need or feel compelled to commit more crimes. They'll feel emboldened to, because they're going to get deported anyway. So why not? And we have millions in this country, and it is going to be. I hope it is not completely disastrous for our country, but I believe that there are going to be some serious problems once the deportations start, that is going to escalate to the point where we probably will have checkpoints, and we probably will have those things, because the Democrat governors, oh no, NATO's not coming in. What? Or you mean the UN? Or what are you saying? What?
No, NATO. We've actually been training NATO troops for the longest time for stuff like this, for reasons like this, for forever.
No, fuck that. No, we can handle
our
own.
No, I'm not saying NATO's coming here, but they do have troops that could. But
to handle the to actually deport, yeah, sure, why not? Y'all wanna fly the planes of the illegals out and then send them off into their own countries? That's fine. I'm okay with that. But I'm not cool with them coming in to our country, and I don't think that's right.
We're gonna have to take,
not a good idea,
state by state. We're gonna have checkpoints on our highways. We are going to somewhat have to, and I'm just telling the truth. I know some people are like, "Nah, that sounds like a communist thing," and I understand, I get you, but there's no easy way back to what we were, to who we were. People in this country are fostering hatred for the country that we're in currently, and there's no way to fix that until you root out the cancer. The cancer has metastasized, so we have to get these people out by hook or crook. That means rounding them up any way possible, putting them into those family centers, FEMA camps, whatever, figuring out where they came from and orderly sending them back. And when we can't figure out where they came from and we don't know what their country of origin is, we should just send them to Switzerland. They're neutral. So
somewhere. Yeah. I mean, bottom line is they need to get out of the country, and it's going to be difficult to do, especially because all these Democrat cities, these Democrat mayors, these Democrat governors, they will be fighting it tooth and nail, and the media will be backing them, doing everything in their power to paint Trump as the next Hitler, right there. That's exactly how they've been painting him, but they will actually have tons of video of mass deportations, which is going to include a bunch of illegals getting rounded up and put on trains or put on buses or put on airplanes. They will have that video that will be used next. So it is going to be very, very difficult to do this in the right way. And it is going to be very, very difficult for this not to escalate things. So I guess the main point here,
we're going to need an immigration force. We got the Space Force.
Yeah.
All that. Yeah. We're going to need the immigration force.
National Guard.
I'm in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but who knows if we can trust everyone in the National Guard at this point? Like, we really need people who want to do the job. So I would open it up. I would create a new task force, and I would have people that want to do the job apply. That way, you got all the right people.
We could dismantle the FBI and ATF and in the wake of all that and the IRS and a whole bunch of other departments, and then we'd have a bunch of spare money to create a new task force like that. So, but the bottom line is I think that it's going to get rough here in Washington State, so I'm not sure how long I will be here. That was a really roundabout way to go about saying that yes, Texas sounds like a great place, and I think that it would be good to move over there. But you guys, if you can, please share the show with your friends and family. Make sure everybody is aware. of our show in your circle. We are trying to inspire more patriots to speak up and stand out and not be part of the silent majority anymore. And Salty McGroin says the Patriots Prayer is a McGroin Nation approved podcast. McGroin Nation, I gotta say thank you very much for coming in here and enjoying the chat with us, smashing that like button on Rumble, sharing it on X, sharing it on whatever platform you are on right now. We do have it on Podbeam and everything as well. So Eddie and I stream every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And a Sunday show. And a Sunday show now.
And now we have a Sunday show, which I'm not going to be able to make it to every time. Eddie's not going to be able to make it to every time. But it is a Patriots Prayer Network conspiracy theory show that is really, really good. If you guys missed it last Sunday, you can go back on our channel and see it. And there will be more coming your way every Sunday. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Eddie, is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Well, the other day, just real quick, when all the stuff happened with Joe dropping out, Dan Bongino went live immediately after me. By the way, I did it first, Dan. But anyway, so I'm watching his show, right? I'm watching his show, and he comes on Maurice, right? And he goes, I had to call Anita over at McGroin Nation right on the show, right? I got the clip. I got the little clip. I was on his Bongino show shouting out McGroin Nation. Guys, that must have felt amazing to have the man shout you guys out like that, and call. He said he called Anita. So they're obviously text buddies or something like that.
We got
it's very cool. Very, very, very cool.
Absolutely incredible. Hey, we got a new comment. First Draft. I've never seen this name, so shout out to you. It says, yep, it would be a massive public uproar to do what Trump says on deportations. It would be. And the media would inflame it, and they would paint it in the worst light possible. So
Absolutely.
but you guys, we have to be strong-willed. This has to happen in order to save our country. We have to deport these people. So
yes.
Hard times are coming, and you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight the narrative.
If you have not hit that like button on the Rumble channel, you haven't clicked it on the X channel, whatever it is, smash that like button, guys. It means the world to us that you share the podcast, that you follow us, that you tell your friends about us, the whole thing. If you're on X and you haven't joined us on Rumble, go to rumble.com/the Patriots Prayer. If you're on Rumble and you're not following us on X, vice versa. So come on over. We need you guys.
Yeah, we got our handles right below us.
We're everywhere. And also, guys, if you're driving and you listen to terrestrial podcasts, we're on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, iTunes, all the way around. And we are a crowd-funded podcast. So our Patreon is there. You can always join us on Rumble as well. So, guys, we appreciate you so much. And if you guys are in the market for some cool shirts, hats, whatever, mouse pads, keychains, blah, blah, we got them all on the Patriot Shop. I got that Trump fight t-shirt too. That thing is awesome. So definitely, guys, we appreciate you so much. Anita's the mod for Bongino, he said. So listen, I said to the McGroin Nation guys, and I've been trying to line this up for about a week or so, a little over a week. I'm trying to get a rep from McGroin Nation to come on the podcast and talk about the movement, right, guys? So if that is Anita, put her in touch with me. Leslie has my phone number. Put her in touch. Let's have the interview. I really think that what they're doing over there is something special. They're doing something that nobody else is doing in a way no one else is doing it, and I think it's genius. And they got a lot of great people over there, and we would love to have someone on the show repping McGroin Nation. And just by the way, I'm a member of the McGroin Nation as well. So, guys, listen, we appreciate you showing up, and we support you, and thank you for supporting us. And as usual,
Ben asked really quick. He said, "What's the link, bro?" And it's thepatriotsprayer.com. You can find everything on there. You can find the merch that we have. You can find our sponsors. If you guys wanted some coffee or the eco washer, everything about our podcast is on thepatriotsprayer.com. calm.
Everything. And Elena did such an amazing job at revamping this site. And there's a lot more coming, guys. A lot more podcasts. The event is showing up August 17th. Red Pill Palooza, Idaho. Be there. If you're near there, go there. You're going to have a great time. We're going to all have we're going to be doing a live podcast from there. Mark Fitzpatrick, the guy who owns the Old State Saloon, has given us the okay to come up and host this event there. And he has Ian Carroll there. He's done a lot of cool stuff in there, and we really can't wait for this to happen, guys. I'm really looking forward to it. So
yes,
I know Maurice is as well. And a lot of the guys from PPN are all going to be there. So you're going to get to meet all of us. If not all of us, most of us will be there, and we'll have a lot of cool speakers. Who's going to be there? You got Adam, the lectern guy, is going to be there. Jerome Davis said he was going to be there. We're going to have some really cool, veterans that are going to be there. They're going to just be, talking about their time. And we're trying to get everyone to understand why it is we want you to go vote. We need everyone to vote, guys. If we get so comfortable that Trump won this, because the popularity contest is over, Trump won that. But on election day, if we don't show up, we will lose. Guys, do not get comfortable. You must show up.
Remember,
your neighbor. If they don't got a car, let them get in the back seat of yours. Take them with you. Right?
Remember back in 2016, the polls had Hillary Clinton winning at 99%. The polls aren't correct, and the only way for us to win is if we show up in an enormous number, record-breaking. We need everybody and their mom to come vote. So bring your mom, bring your friends, make a plan, and this is an all hands on deck situation. Yeah.
Bring everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
Bring everybody. But anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out with us once again. We really appreciate it. And as usual, the silent majority, you need to stop being silent and stand your ground. We will see you next time on the Patriots Prayer. Guys, have a great one.
Trading good for evil.
This is the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.